If you're black, can you stay for a second?
I mean, I don't have to be friends with him. I'm not racist, but I don't want my daughter to marry a black guy, just period.
For example, my father told me all black men will leave their wives. This man will leave you. My mother told me all black people have AIDS. Like those things are not true, first of all. Well, my father did not approve of my marriage to my husband.
And why
My
not?
father, yeah, because he's black. So there's a
Oh,
lot of racism in the Arab like I said, the culture. Islam says no black man is better than an Arab man. No Arab man is better than a black man. But my father and my mother were adamant against no, he's black. No, they didn't even give him a chance. They didn't meet him. They didn't, give him an opportunity. And that hurt. But when something is wrong, it's wrong. So you got to stand up against it.
Welcome back to my YouTube space. I thank you, I love you, and I honor you for joining me. Now, today I need to talk about something uncomfortable. There's a video I've played, you have seen it. And I'm going to talk about more videos that I'm going to show you here. But I'm going to talk about the racism that so-called white Arabs direct towards black Arabs. According to the video you have seen, there's this, I think they are both Muslims, okay? Arab, white Arab, and she was sharing this food. Then there's a black Arab who came there, and then you saw how it is. Just see here. And let me tell you, this is not just about personal prejudice. It's about history, it's about identity, it's about power, it's about, the erasure of Africa from the Arab world too. So it's about rewriting of religion, the rewriting of culture, and the rewriting of history to favor lighter skin and erase darker roads. Okay? Family, make no mistake, the first Arab were black. That is reality. The first Arabs were black. The Arabian Peninsula sits right next to Africa. Or is it called Peninsula? It's right next to Africa. People who lived there in ancient times were dark-skinned. But over centuries, invention, intermarriage, colonization, and deliberate whitening of history created the illusion that Arabs equals to pale skin. Okay? And today, right now, the day I'm talking, black Arabs, whether in Sudan, whether in Mauritania, Yemen, Iraq, or even Egypt, they face discrimination, racism, and second-class treatment. So that's what I'm going to talk about. But before I talk about that, let me play some videos for you here. I want us to understand what we are, and then I'll come back and we talk more.
When you live in Saudi Arabia as a black person, you really quickly realize that racism is deeply rooted. And there is a word, abda or abd, whatever, it's the same thing, but which means slave, okay? Remember that, slave. Are you ready? And that's how some of people openly refer to black people. But what hurts the most is when that word comes from your own friend, guys. And yes, I almost forgot, even my friends call me Abda. Sometimes as if it's normal, and other times during arguments, but that doesn't justify anything. Okay, for example, imagine you walk on the street and someone might give you like hateful look or use terms sauda just to comment on your color skin. But back then, I didn't really see it as a racism. At first, because I was just young and just a child, I didn't really take that serious, and I just start to understand that after moving in France, I began to understand what really happened. Anyway, that's it.
So I want to share an experience with you, help you understand how black people get treated in another country that, black is deemed so terrible. Like openly racist. Like America here, people are racist, but not openly. So I lived in the Middle East in Jordan, Amman. Mind you, I'm Muslim. I speak Arabic. I am just a brown girl. I'm from Sudan. Where I'm from, people speak Arabic. When I lived in the Middle East, I will tell you guys, I experienced everything involving racism. It was from Middle Easterns Even if you were from the Middle East yourself, if you were darker complexion, you're automatically deemed as just peasant. You are looked down on. I am telling you this. And these people will never take accountability, especially now that they live in the US. All corner stores and all these things, majority of them are, Arab men. Black people love them. They praise them for, being the person in the corner. But y'all don't understand, if you are in their country, the way you will be treated, you are going to hate it.
The amount of racism in Istanbul against Arabs or African males is unfucking believable. Now, if you're a girl or a European dude with like white skin, blonde hair, blue or green eyes, the story is completely different. Every single time I'm on a public transportation or on the bus and I speak in the Arabic dialect, people stare, they shush me, they're super rude. Even though there are people speaking on the phone in the Turkish dialect, it's unbelievably rude. Stop making excuses for that. I know some people are gonna go like, but if you don't like it, then fucking leave. Well, fuck you. If I started treating Turkish employment in Libya, in my country, that way, I don't think they're gonna like it as well. We treat them with nothing but respect. So if you're uneducated and you're a racist piece of shit, just think about it.
I mean, I don't have to be friends with him. I'm not racist, but I don't want my daughter to marry a black guy, just period. Why? Give me a reason. Why do you think that is, or how do you think, give me a reason, how do you think that's not a racist comment? That's deep down in you, that you think you are better than someone else based on their color. And let's not even talk about the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Nepalis. That's a whole different discussion with the Arabs or even the North Africans. Really, I'm not sure because I never had a discussion with them. And when you tell them, for me, because I noticed even way worse racism. There's a difference between racism in North Africa, 100%, and the racism in the Middle East and the Arab world is a whole different level. I can tell you that the racism in North Africa is really based on lack of knowledge. Giving the passport for the security. It's always the same. There's no way this is your brother. There's no way this is your sister. There is no way you guys are family. Because he's the dark child and we are all like the white kids in the family. That's why when I grew up, I never ever saw color. I never understood there is really a difference between me and my brother or between me and my cousin who is super dark. I never thought it's an issue. It hurt me so bad when I heard these comments towards my brother. He used to also tell me obviously that the police in Germany would also stop him every now and then, just obviously based on him being a guy and an immigrant child and looks super dark with his beard as a Muslim guy in Europe. I have never ever been stopped. I have never ever been dealt with in a bad way. I'm a Muslim girl who wears hijab ever since I'm 11. I should also be actually affected by these attributes that I show to the world. However, I have never been. But growing up, having someone in your family actually going through that racism is so made me feel like, not I have to speak up for every single person, it just did not make sense to me how on earth is someone that looks just slightly different than us is treated in a completely different way. And I started noticing this because when I got older, obviously, and I used to go to the beach, to Tunis, and like I said, I enter Tunis, I'm like a white kid. Obviously, I go to the beach on a daily basis and I come out being, super, super tan and super dark. And my family, and I remember this neighbor, she would always say, oh my God, you used to be so pretty. What happened to you in the last couple of weeks? Now you're so, they don't want to say ugly, but so, do something. We have specific creams in Tunis and specific masks that keeps you white and all that mentality that a white person or someone with a lighter skin, let's not say white person because we still obviously not white people, but someone with a lighter skin is always more beautiful, is always more pure. Many people want to speak to them, many people want to surround themselves with, and if you're dark, technically, oh yeah, he's nice, she's cute, but I mean, come on, she's a dark girl. You know, how many comments did I hear about, yeah, he's gonna marry this, yeah, but she's dark. Wallahi. And okay, let's continue.
Okay, اتخيلوا يا ناس. Remember when I said eons ago that Arabs can be racist, are racist, in fact have racist histories. I was told I was crazy. I was told that didn't exist, despite there being many scholarly sources where you can source this information. But that's besides the point. I want to talk about the Sudanese people's displacement and how racism impacts Sudanese integration and their moving forward in society, and any society they go to, specifically regarding the Arab world. And it would make sense that Sudanese who are experiencing this displacement crisis and this civil war would go to other Arab countries, because you don't want to learn an entirely new language. You don't want to learn English. I mean, why not just go to, this is not my home, but at least they speak my language. At least I can, kind of shape my Arabic eventually to understand them, because the dialect stuff is crazy. Anyway. Yet, when they go to these countries, none of them, I mean, a majority, because Tunisia was the first and I believe the only MENA country to actually enact a law that penalized racism and racial discrimination and allowed for victims to seek compensation for their experience. The only one. So with that being said, a majority of the Arab League does not have any anti-discrimination policies or laws that they actually enforce. And in fact, in the UAE, it's okay to say, yeah, well, we want this ethnic group. We're only hiring this ethnic group. Now, اتخيلوا, Sudanese in America, that is crazy. Like, imagine them telling us here, oh yeah, no, we only hire whites. Insanity. And I just want to add this to it all. The death toll of the war in Sudan has been higher than that of the one in Gaza. And this isn't to say one has been worse than the other, because a life lost is a life lost. It's not a competition. But it is deeply concerning and upsetting how the Arab world consistently aligns themselves in the struggles of the Palestinian people and not the Sudanese. And when they do talk about the Sudanese displacement crisis and the war and the ongoing genocides, it is secondary. It is secondary. It is not their primary issue. It is their secondary issue to say, oh, and by the way, this too, let's do something about this too, but it's never their primary issue. And this allows me to tell you guys and allows you guys to see the image of what the Sudanese people's displacement crisis has been. It has been silent. And their integration into other Arab countries and their experience with hate crimes and racism has gone unnoted. In Egypt, there are different laws that they have regarding Sudanese migration and asylum seeking into Egypt in comparison to Syrians. For some reason, Sudanese people have to go through a different kind of process. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I guess the Arab world just, they don't have laws that they enforce against anti-discrimination, against racism and hate crimes occur in those countries, but you guys are telling me, or told me a few years ago, it don't exist, that I was crazy. Okay.
Welcome back. Now, before even I talk about racism, let's know who is Black Arabs, because the Arab world is not one race. It is not one color. The term Arabs more about language and culture than actual bloodline. But history shows us something powerful. The original Arabs of Arabia, the tribes of the south like the Khatanese, were dark-skinned people. Ancient description from Greek, Roman, and even early Islamic writers described Arabs as dark like the Ethiopians. Arabia was connected to Africa through trade. Arabia was connected to Africa through migration and even bloodline long before Europe even knew the place existed. So black Arabs are everywhere. In Sudan, we have the Nubians and other black Arab tribes that live there. In Mauritius or Mauritania, we have a darker-skinned Moors. They face racism from light-skinned Moors. In Yemen, we have Afro-Arabs are marginalized. Iraq and Kuwait, name both, we have the Zanj, descendants of East Africans. In Saudi Arabia, we have millions of Afro-Arabs who still face discrimination. But the irony is, the so-called white Arabs want to erase the fact that their own language, their own culture and religion was built by dark-skinned people, just like white people do. I'm not talking about the religion. I don't want to go deep in the religion. I know this topic is very sensitive, but I don't want to talk about religion, okay? I'm gonna, racism in the Arab world is not random, okay? It has roots. And one of those roots is the Arab slave trade. Centuries before Europeans began the transatlantic slave trade, Arabs were enslaving Africans, okay? From the 7th century to the 20th century, millions of Africa are taken through the Red Sea, through the Saharan Desert, and the Indian Ocean, okay? Unlike the Europeans' trade, the Arab slave trade targeted both men and women heavily. Why? Because men were often castrated and forced into servitude, and women were taken as concubines, as gifts, as household slaves. And this household is happening up to now. The trade lasted for over 1,000 years, if I'm not wrong, and the legacy remains. In countries like Mauritania, slavery is still practiced up to today, with darker-skinned black people enslaved by lighter-skinned Moors. In Sudan, the North-South conflicts had racism at its roots. You heard about the fight there between black Sudanese and, okay? In the Gulf states, darker-skinned migrant workers, often from Africa, are treated as disposable. We have seen the complaints from the Africans who are going to work there. They complain the treatment is not fair and the government cannot do anything. So when you see white Arabs looking down on black Arabs, it is not now. It comes from a system built to place black people or blackness at the bottom, even though blackness was the origin. And then came European colonization. The European reinforced colorism by glorifying letters, and many Arabs adopted these standards, and this made to have anti-blackness even more. So now you have a mix of Arab supremacy and European racism forming a toxic combination that was tough. Oh God. Now, let me go a little bit. You will forgive me, but let me talk about the religious hypocrisy just a little bit. Islam teaches equality. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, say that there is no superiority of an Arab over an Arab or a white over a black except in righteousness. One of the prophet's closest companions, the name is Bilal ibn Rabah. This prophet's closest companion was a black man from Ethiopia. Bilal ibn Rabah. If I've said that name, please confirm that name to me. Kindly do that. He was a black man. And he was chosen as the first muezzin, the one who calls Muslims to prayer. Allahu Akbar, Allah. He was a black man. And that alone shows how central black people were the foundation or were to the foundation of Islam. But what do we see today? In Mecca, in Medina, in Cairo, black Muslims are treated differently. Black Muslims are treated with disdain. In the mosque, black Arabs are seen as lesser. In marriages, families discourage their children from marrying black Arabs. In media, darker Arabs are rarely represented, while lighter-skinned Arabs dominated televisions, music, and politics. That is not Islam. That is racism disguised as Arab identity. Islam does not teach that. I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, but I know Islam does not teach that. Christianity does not teach that. And the modern reality of racism today against black Arabs is being shown openly. In Egypt, Nubians are constantly marginalized. In Sudan, the darker-skinned Darfuri people have been victims of genocide. In Mauritania, black Moors are still enslaved. In Iraq and Kuwait, Afro-Arabs face systematic exclusion. In Saudi Arabia, migrant workers from Africa are abused every day. Every day. Even in popular culture, black Arabs are mocked. Slurs are thrown around. Abdi, is it ABD or Abda, which means slave, is still used against black people. That slur is a racist slur. Imagine that to this day, in 2025, black Arabs are called slaves by people who claim to be their brothers in faith. And yet, those same white Arabs, they copy African culture, they copy music from Africans and fashion from Africans, they copy style. They even come to Africa to exploit resources and labor. It is the same contradiction we see with white supremacy in the West. They want us to work for them, but they don't want to respect us. They want our labor, but they don't want us. Okay? So the erasure of blackness from Arab history is real. Have you noticed how movies, TV shows, and even schools textbooks always show Arabs as pale-skinned? Okay? But when you look to Asian status, Asian drawings and writings, the people of Arabia were described as dark. The kingdom of Saba, the land of Sheba, the Himarites of Yemen, these were black civilizations. And the earliest Quranic manuscript was written by hands of black Arabs. But history got rewritten. The same way European whitewashed Egypt, Arabs whitewashed Arabia. And today, when a black Arab speak up, they are told that you are African, you are not Arab. Even some Somali were saying, I'm not African, I'm Somali, I'm Arab, But the truth is, Arabia and Africa is one thing. There is this one part they don't want you to know. Black Arabs are fighting back. In Sudan, young people are reclaiming their African identity. In Mauritania, activists are exposing the slavery that is still happening. In Egypt, Nubians are demanding recognition of their history. In Iraq, Afro-Iraqs are organizing and speaking out. And across the Arab world, black Muslims are saying, we are Arabs too, and we will not be erased. So the resistance is growing, and that's what we want. Social media has given a platform for voices that were silenced. Documentary, campaign, protest, all these are exposing the hidden racism of the Arab world. So like the video I've come across, if it's not social media, I could not understand this. And it's connecting back to Africa, because the truth is black Arabs and Africans are one family. They cannot erase the African blood that runs through Arabia. Now, family, here is the bigger lesson. When we look at racism from white Arabs towards black Arabs, we see the same pattern like the white supremacy, like everywhere, So whether it is in America, in Europe, in the Arab world, anti-blackness is global. It comes from the same root, fear of black power. And they know that if black people, whether in Africa and Arabia or in the diaspora, unite and reclaim their history, no systems can control us. And this is why they try to divide us. This is why they try to tell black Arabs they are not real Arabs. And that's why they try to tell Africans that Arabia is separate from Africa. It is all strategic to keep us divided as black people. But the truth is, family, the truth is that it's uniting again. Like, the truth is uniting black people again. Black Arabia are rising, black Africans are rising, black Americans are rising. And together, we are breaking the chains of lies, okay? But what we need to do, we must educate. We must tell the history of black Arabs. We must remind the world of Bilal, of the Nubians, of the Himarites, of the Zanj. Okay, we must call out the hypocrisy of so-called white Arabs using Islam to claim equality but practice racism every day. We must unite. Whether you are black Arabs in Sudan or black Arab or Nubian in Egypt or Afro-Iraq or Somali in Yemen, you are African and you are family. And when Africa rises, you rise too. And we must build power. Okay, we must do that so that we bridge this gap. We must economically, culturally, politically. Black Arabs and Black Africa must connect and create systems outside of the structures that hate us. Tell me what you think on the comment section. Until next episode, peace out.